Are you having the clicker or am I having
No,
the
I'm
clicker?
giving it to you.
That's all right, that's all right. Thanks, Mark. Nice to see you, mate. How are you? Very good. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking... Where's the screen? Oh, it's over there. There we go. Professional. Thanks for taking the time out to come and hear us for a little while. My name is Jay Richards, one of the co-founders at Imagen Insights. My LinkedIn's on the screen. I'm trying to get more... No, I'm not trying to get more followers, but feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to be friends. And Helen's is there as well, so feel free to connect. It is very small, so you might not even be able to see it, but you get the game. So my name is Jay Richards, one of the co-founders at Imagen Insights, and our mission is to help Gen Z and consumers to shape their future. And realistically, we know this is best done with brands, because brands are shaping countries and culture like our lovely government only wish they could do, right? So what we do is we enable our clients to gain qualitative insight from Gen Z and from consumers within a matter of minutes. We have a beautiful index that enables us to do that. I can go into length about that another time. But we have 35,000 Gen Z in 111 countries around the world. They are 60% female, they are 25% Asian, 15% black, 20% from a low-income background, 20% from the LGBT community, and 2% registered disabled. So they're actually diverse, yes, which is always a good start, right, guys? But markets perspective, our main markets are the US, UK, Spain, Germany, France, all across the rest of America, across Latin America and Asia. So we are well and truly global, about 53% of the world. So I feel like Napoleon gradually taking over everywhere. But outside of that Gen Z community, we have millennials, Gen X, and boomers are actually now in the community. I know everyone's surprised. Everyone's like, wait, you're not just Gen Z. Now we've got other age demographics as well. So you can all earn money through us as well. So feel free to go download the app in the App Store, Imagen Insights, check it out, download, you know what I mean, get paid to do insights. But I'm going to hand over to Helen in a second. I'm going to ask Helen a few questions, because you all came to see Helen, right? Everyone did, yeah. Helen's nervous now. She's like, Jay, why are you doing this to me? But I just want to talk quickly about the index. So the index it enables you to be curious, because you're all in this room because you're a curious bunch of people. You're curious human beings. And to be curious is easy from a quantitative perspective, but if you want to be curious from a qualitative perspective, let's be honest, it's quite hard. So what we enable our clients to do is you go into our index, you could type in the word water, or rain, or brand, or innovation, and the index will pull up all of the qualitative insights from thousands of our community from all around the world. You log in, type in what you want, get the data, get the information you want, and get off nice and easy. But I'm going to stop selling, because we're not here to sell, we're here to hear from Helen. So Helen, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for the introduction. So I'm head of marketing for Shelter. We've worked together for about a year, something like that, which I think is what we're going to go into today. And yeah, we work across loads of different things. So it's not just fundraising, it might also be campaigning or services marketing, retail marketing. That's me, really, in a nutshell.
And Helen just got back from Glastonbury. How was Glastonbury, Helen?
That's me there, working at the Glastonbury bars.
Living her best life, So Helen, we're going to show a video first. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the video before we show it?
Sure. I'm hoping that some of you are here today because you might already know about our cost of living hacks campaign, you might have seen it. And I guess I just wanted to set the scene a little bit for the time when we created this video. And if you can imagine, it was a time that was even more chaotic than now. Everyone was talking about the cost of living crisis like they're doing now, but the difference was that they weren't relating it to housing. And we needed to get cut through at that time. And it was the time when I think we had 3 prime ministers in 7 weeks. So it was a really crazy time. And we wanted to do something that would get people's attention, which is why we worked with Jay at Imagen. So I think the video can speak for itself.
And that rain is very loud. Does anyone else hear that rain? It's about to take off, you know what I mean? All right. Yes, it's playing.
So hopefully that gives a bit of a sense of the campaign and the fact that we literally had to be everywhere, whether that was inside the Conservative Party conference or if that was in pubs across the country or online, outdoor. We were in a lot of places.
And I think that for me, if it'll click, is it clicking? Barbara, I'm clicking. Why is my clicker not working? There we go. All right. Technical difficulties, don't worry guys, we're all right. I'm a professional, I know what I'm doing. I think the most exciting part for me is that firstly that we got to play a part in that, if I'm being honest. Like, when you launch a business, it's crazy to actually see it out in the real world and actually doing things and getting to see what Helen and the team were able to pull together and the insight we're able to get. I think it's really, really exciting. But for me, I'd love to know, and the question's already on the screen, so for you, Helen, what would you say, why was qualitative insight so important for you specifically with this campaign?
Yeah, I think it was a really big thing for us, and I think it's super important at Shelter for all the reasons that research is normally important, but also especially for us because we are a charity which is all about ending housing problems. We need to make sure that we're speaking to people who have lived experience of the housing emergency, and also that they're from a diverse range of backgrounds. We know that there's certain groups of people that are more likely to be impacted by these housing problems, and we wanted to reach those people. And I think it was really good when we first spoke. I remember asking, like, is it possible to do something bespoke where we can filter to make sure that all the people we're speaking to are people who've personally struggled to pay their rent, they've experienced these issues themselves. And you might wonder, why does a charity need to do that when we're working obviously with people that have this experience anyway? But I think sometimes we want to be able to reach people outside of Shelter, so people that haven't interacted with us already. And also it's really important that we are making sure that it's like a real range of people. Sorry, that rain is really loud. I'm hoping everyone can.
Do you want me to give you headphones?
Here.
You can put the headphones over.
No, it's fine.
You sure? Let's get washed away, guys.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the interesting thing is for me is when I first spoke to Helen, one of the key things, she was focused really heavily on diversity. And I think a lot of the time to achieve that from a research perspective is actually quite tough, because you predominantly get the same type of people coming to do research, because they normally become professional researchers. And one of the things we were really focused on when we were initially building the Imagen community right at the start was making sure it was diverse from the go. Because what we realized was if we can make it diverse from the start, that when those people then refer other people into the community, those people are going to naturally already be diverse because you're in those worlds already. So with our community, I already mentioned those percentages at the start. Because we are so diverse, that when Helen began to work with us, she had that comfort and she had that peace going, actually, you know what? They are diverse. So yeah, we're going to hear from people that are struggling with some of these issues. And even recently, we did some work with another client in the US around very similar issues. And it was very interesting just to read. It's actually quite heartbreaking to read some of these stories, because these are like 200 word, 300 word responses. And my team are having to read through this, and they're flagging some of them to me and sending them over. I'm like, bro, I don't know if I want to read this on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Just let me live. But it was like actually to read through their lived experiences and what they were going through, and then being able to provide that data to clients like Helen is really, really powerful. The rain is going to come through, guys. We're all going to die. No, jokes.
I think as well, I was just going to say, what's really interesting about that is we didn't ask people questions saying, can you let us know about your lived experience? But because we'd filtered from the start, it meant that people were naturally citing it. And something that was especially interesting about this campaign is originally we started out with two completely different creative routes. So we had the one that we ended up with, and then we also had a different route which was actually based on quotes that we'd taken from our emergency helpline, and it was quotes that people with this experience said. And yet when we tested it with your panel, quite a few of them said, to be honest, this doesn't resonate with me because I find it quite depressing. I already know what the situation is, right? I'm experiencing it. I don't need to be reminded of it in this way. I want to see solutions. And the fact that in the route we went down, we'd used humour, we had directly called out the government and kind of put the blame on the place where it should be and not with the people that hadn't caused the crisis. That was something that really resonated really strongly with the panel as well, and was a really useful part of the insight for us.
I love that. I appreciate you bigging this up. It's amazing. I actually don't know how long we've got left. I can't see a timer. 5 minutes. What? Look at all that time. All the time in the world, mate. Do whatever we want. So last question for you, and actually then I'm going to come to the room. So if you have any questions, is there like a question Slido thing?
There is, really.
via the app. There we go. We know what we're doing. Via instead of via. I love that. So if you go onto the app, you can type in your questions if you do have any, because I know you guys are full of loads of questions for us. What is next for Shelter? What are you excited about? What's going on next?
Loads of stuff. We are very excited. There's a few people from Shelter over here if you want to find any of us later. But it's a really big year ahead of us. We know there's going to be a general election in the next year, so that's potentially an opportunity to get housing in the manifestos of all the political parties, so that's something that we're focused on. It's a really big year in terms of a lot of different things. This is our current campaign, which is live right now, and it's all about the types of discrimination that stop people from being able to rent a home. So whether that is not being allowed to rent a home because you have children or because you don't have a guarantor, that type of thing. So yeah, lots going on, but let's have some time for questions if you want.
Yes, love that, amazing. Before we do that, yes, last slide, wonderful, perfect, I know what I'm doing. So if you do have any questions after this, you don't want to, I know sometimes it's a bit awkward typing your question into an app, but as I said, there's my LinkedIn, there's Helen's LinkedIn, make sure you connect with us. Mark, are there any questions? Because it's really awkward if there aren't, because these guys have just left us on. Yes,
there is one.
We have one individual question.
Also, via or via? I thought it was via, but
I thought it was via.
I've just
Where
said
did
it
you grow
wrong
up?
for the whole of my life. So this is from Sean, who's in the room somewhere, who says, I'll sort of paraphrase this, but talk us through the process. So the insights come in, what happens next? How does it work?
Yeah,
Good
sure.
question.
For us, it was really important that we involved the Imagen panel at the start of the journey. So we have an in-house creative studio who designs the creative routes, and then I saw it at the same time as the Imagen panel, and our internal Shelter stakeholders fed back at the exact same time as the panel, and that was important because it meant that we were bringing them in early doors, and if there were things that we didn't like, we could rip it up, start again if needed. And so, yeah, once we had the insights, it helped us pick a route. And then we also used those insights to help both on creative and also in terms of our media planning. You know, in one of our early rounds, we'd put in this idea that was for a 24-hour billboard that changed over day and night, which was kind of cool, but actually didn't make that much sense because no one's going to be at a billboard for 24 hours. And your community fed back and said, look, this is not the one. So I think stuff like that was really helpful in helping us revise the campaign.
And I think the interesting thing just on that one is a lot of time people argue doing that, okay, but we're doing a lot of quant research. And if you heard that, I don't know, 60% of people said, oh, the billboard's a great idea, but then that 40% gave you a whole bunch of reasons why it wasn't a great idea. That is the depth of insight in qualitative research. Being able to see a 200-word response, I'm sorry if I'm shouting, by the way, a 200-word response, I'm trying to shout over this, but I realize you've got headphones on, so you don't actually need me to shout. I also have ADHD, I apologize. So a 200-word response, actually detailing that is way more impactful than going, actually 40% don't like it. And I think that's the thing that I'm most excited about with qualitative research. And as I mentioned earlier, plug, the Imagen Index, you can check it out on the website or talk to me, whatever. It enables you to get those big macro questions out of the way, because as I said earlier, we're all a curious species. We want to know things, but I'm trying to shorten that gap between being curious and actually getting your answer. So at the moment, it takes a long time to do focus groups and research, but we've enabled that to go to 72 hours, and now we've shortened it down to 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, you can get a question out to the community and get that response and really get the detail that you need that's actually impactful to you. But anyway, that's enough of that sales stuff. Mark, are there any more questions? Are you going to leave us up here alone?
Yeah, we've got one more question, which I think we've got time for.
Yes.
Do you have any top tips for a question to ask the community? So how did you go about, because it's quite a broad thing to go for when it comes to insights. So do you have any top tips for getting insights?
For sure. I mean, we work really closely with Jay and his team on developing those questions together. So we had some ideas about things that we wanted to explore. A lot of our questions we tried to keep quite open because we really wanted really to get people's first impressions of the campaign, especially at the early stages. We didn't want it to be really strict and narrow, but it was important that we were also quite direct. So we had a question about what people liked about the campaign, about each route, and also what they didn't like. So it meant we couldn't have a situation where it was just 100% positive. There was always going to be things that we could take into our creative process to improve them. And that was why it ended up being so useful when we got it through.
And my last little bit on that one is sometimes we want to ask a qualitative question, which is like I always do this. Qual is long form, long written response, and then quant is that percentages and data. I do that stupid thing where you assume that people... Anyway, so a lot of the time you come and people think they're writing a qual question, but they're actually writing a quant question. And I think one of the big things for us is, especially with clients like Helen, when they're coming, is actually going, okay, what do you want? Brain dump a whole bunch of questions onto a piece of paper, and we will help you just formulate those into actually what you need. And we've got Layla, who's another client of ours in the audience. Woo! And being able to plug, we've got clients. But being able to actually do that is really, really important, because from our perspective, we're the experts from that perspective, so we'll help you to do that. But that's enough for that. Oh, they've already changed the screen. Wonderful. Whatever. No worries. But again, connect with us. Also, you can rate us on the app. I didn't know this is a thing. I think it's new this year. So if you want to rate us, I need 5 stars. Helen needs 5 stars. We encourage you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Amazing. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Helen.